Rob Smith here. I'm joined with Charles Joyner as he prepares to make his return to Cage Warriors Newcastle. Charles, how we doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Close now to the fight, so just keen to get in there.
So let's talk about this match with your fight. I'm going to butcher the name, so I apologize in advance to your opponent, but Norbert Pietras. I'm going to go with that.
That's
Let's
pretty
let's
good, I
talk
think.
let's talk about this matchup. How what do you make of him as an opponent, and have you kind of done any research, and how do you think you match up with him?
Yeah, I think he looks good. Obviously I've looked at his fights, looked at his record. He had a good amateur career. I think he won the Cage Warriors Academy belt, and then he made his pro debut in September. And to be honest, I just wanted a fight. I was just throwing names out there to we were just throwing names out there to the promoter, just saying, just trying to get a fight, and uh, we threw his name out there, Norbert, and they got back and pretty much just straight away said, "Oh yeah, we can do that." So, to be honest, I didn't really expect him to take it with him being 1-0, but I guess with me being on a two-fight losing streak, you get a few more options. So yeah,
I guess that's one way of looking at it, yeah. But
yeah,
so were you surprised at all that it had to? Because I guess we've kind of said this in the past that light heavyweight isn't the most like stacked division with names. There's not say like a lightweight. There's an endless
yeah.
list of fighters. Light heavyweight, not so much. Were you surprised at all that you having to face someone who's only had one pro fight?
Um, Yeah, that's well. I was surprised that he took it. I guess was my, because I'd called out people earlier in the year, and although realistically, I'm pretty young in MMA. I mean, this is going to be my ninth MMA fight, and I started MMA in 2023. So I feel like I'm giving up the experience in MMA, but people seem to think I'm like this really experienced fighter. I guess I've got a big kickboxing record as well. But so I just threw his name out there, not really expecting him to take it. Fair play to him. He's got some balls and he took the fight. But I think he just looks like, he just looks like a good lad that just likes to fight and just likes to improve, and he looks athletic. He looks like he's got some good skills, so I think it's good. But I think I match up well against him. I think I match up well against everyone. I think whenever I lose, I'm just like, ah, well,
And you mentioned previously about he made his debut in September on I believe on the Dublin card against
yeah,
someone that you've had a bit of back and forth on social media, Mr. Trevor McKengo. That whole situation. I want to ask you about this because that whole situation to me seemed a bit strange because I don't think you were ever really disrespectful to Trevor. I've never spoken to Trevor much, but I'm not too sure what you said that got him so like angry in the first place. I thought it was just a standard call out. Of course, you want to fight someone who
yeah,
I assume you respect Trevor's skills, so you want to test yourself against someone like him. I think he must have took it the wrong way. But what was it like from your side of things?
yes. Like the exact same with this fight. I was just throwing names out there, trying to get a fight because I wanted to. I just want to obviously just stay active and improve. It was funny when I called him out because he said at first he said I called him that he was saying that I was saying that he was a tune-up fight, which I'd never said. So a bit of projection there, I guess. But then he was saying that he'd like knock me out easily. So I just said, well, you don't actually have an opponent, so why don't you just, if it's so easy, just take the fight? But of course, he never did. But it was an interesting experience where someone's like talking a whole load of shit online, but then also just point blank refusing the fight. I think there was a, and I think he was just only ever talking shit when he was contracted to fight someone. So I
Hmm.
assume what happened is he got contracted to fight someone about 5 weeks out, so he started talking shit again. But then I think that, or he thought he had an opponent, and maybe that fell through because he went quiet until he got matched up with Norbert. Then he started talking shit again. So it was only whenever he couldn't actually legally sign a contract against me. But I was just praying that I was just keeping ready and keeping an eye on it, just praying that that fight would fall through so that I could jump in there last minute. And I'm sure he was praying that that wouldn't happen. But you know, like he's to be fair, I like it though because he was giving it a bit of back and forth, and he seems like a funny guy. And we had a few messages, and it was all, he's just it is what it is. I thought their fight was entertaining as well. Um, so yeah.
And you mentioned previously there you're currently on a two loss streak. So where do you think a win against Norwich puts you back in the division?
Um, I'm not really bothered to be honest about the division. I feel like it's they're rewarding someone, and promoting someone that's done a fake glove touch 4 second KO, and they're all saying that it's dodgy behind the scenes, but then they're promoting it. So I don't know who you know. I think Nell, I think James Webb probably, like I keep saying, hopefully he gets a big opportunity. I think they'll do an interim title with Yannick and Nell. I think Nell will win because I think Nell is really good. Um, and you know what? Like I just think I just want to get a win. I just want to just see what comes from that. Just get back to winning ways in Newcastle. Big crowd. I think people are keen for me to be on the card because on the last show in September, a lot of people were there saying they were disappointed I wasn't fighting. So I just want to get a win and then see what's up. I don't really care about the division really.
You kind of answered my second question there. I was going to ask you about obviously it seems to be it's going to be Nell versus Bahati next. How do you think Nell
Mm.
gets it done against Bahati?
I think he'll break him to be honest. I think look, Yannick's really good. Like he's a former world champion. But I think, when I fought him, no, say November, we won't count the one in March because just like obviously nothing happened. Um, but say in November, I watched that fight back the other day, and I was saying to Fisher, I was like, I've just improved so much in that time. And then, you know, Nell did what he did in our fight. Obviously, I think like on the feet, I was kicking Nell all over and hurting him, but grappling wise, it's he just didn't get tired. He just like I thought what would happen was the first round he'd come out and do that what he did, but I thought he'd get really tired and wouldn't be able to sustain the pace, and then I'd start taking over. But he just did not go away. His grips just felt strong the whole time, and he was just throwing me all over. So I think he should get the belt and then either contender series next year or get signed straight away because he's really good.
And one thing I've noticed on your social media, you've been very active, with posting training footage here and there. And you've also been posting like a lot of like different like skits and stuff. I saw you on with Kenzie today. It was quality, but is that a constant decision from yourself to kind of build an audience outside of MMA and kind of show your personality a bit more?
Yeah, I haven't fought since June, and I just thought, just have a bit of fun with it and see what you can build because I think it's important to have an audience that are engaged and want to see you fight. And obviously, I was training hard, but I thought, well, I'm not preparing for a fight, so I'll just start doing a bit more social media and just not take it too seriously, and then it's got a bit of momentum, and I had a goal. I said, "Oh, by the end of the year, I'll try and get to 10K followers," and then I've hit that. I think I hit that yesterday. So, um, yeah, I'm just trying to just keep it funny and just like be creative with it and just have a bit of a laugh. And I think I know it's people whinge about social media, but it's the world we live in now, isn't it? It's just important these days to do stuff like that.
And you also mentioned you're back in Newcastle. If it doesn't feel like there's a few names that I feel like have to be on a Cage Warriors Newcastle card, and you're one of those names. Like I said, September didn't feel right. There was no Charles Joyner. It doesn't feel the same. There's a few
Uh,
like I said, there was no you and there's no Josh Abraham. Like you guys have to be on this card. Like
yeah.
it just makes sense. And you're someone who's fought all over the world. You fought in all over the country. Where does the Newcastle crowd rank against all of the crowds you fought in?
Yeah, I think you know, in the UK, it's second to none, really. I think I was when I fought on the Glasgow card, I was really excited, thinking that was going to be insane crowd, and the Newcastle one just blew it away, really. But obviously, when I'm at home in Australia, you know, I've got all my friends and family and the people that I coach from the gym there, and so it was, I had like a massive crowd, and it was all for me. So it was that's obviously up there. But I think in terms of and then when I fought overseas, I've been the away fighter. So in Italy, it was literally like walking out to silence, and then but they just get really emotional and like I don't know, they just like message you and call you a whore and things like that. They're just whereas I feel well, you get that as well with Cage Warriors a bit, but it's more I don't know. It's just like it's a really good experience, especially in Newcastle. You feel like the people in the area proper appreciate the fighters. Like it's a fighting culture in the Northeast, and they really respect. And because I think like lots of people do it, and they know lots of people that do it, they're not like they're not delusional where they think they could do it better. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like
Yeah, yeah.
some places where like a lot of Americans, for example, just think like a lot of the hate I get is from Americans and people like that, and it's like, what are you talking about? It's just like the most delusional stuff you ever seen. Where I feel like you go to a Cage Warriors Newcastle card and you're appreciated. The atmosphere is really good. Everyone's just there to have a good time. They treat you like a star, and it's which is a bit of a cliche thing to say, but it's part of the experience as well. It's nice to be appreciated after you've dedicated so much time. So when I'm not, you know, the last time I fought was unplugged, so there was no crowd, and then I fought in London, and to be fair, everyone was like that was a pretty good experience afterwards as well because everyone was just coming up to me and just saying that was terrible. What happened there? That was like the worst thing I've ever seen. But no, Newcastle's right at the top.
And my final question, I feel like I have to ask you about this. Your teammate and good friend Justin Burlinson's gone viral at the moment for going over to Qatar and just and putting it all on the line. And I've seen a lot of mixed things. I've seen some surprising hate. I've seen banned, and I've also seen majority people commending him and saying like good on him for trying it. And I almost think it's a bit of a how I look at it, it's kind of bittersweet because I don't feel like guys like Justin, like Harry Hardwick, should have to go to these lengths to get signed to the UFC. I feel like they're so good in their ability. They should just be signed. It shouldn't have to be the case of he has to fly away to Qatar, spend 3 months rent just to get on the microphone and say, "Oh look, I think I've earned my opportunity. I want that contract." It's people like
Yeah.
him should just be signed straight up. In my opinion, the story's there. He can fight. He's entertaining. But I want to get your opinion on obviously the whole thing in Qatar, the whole fight week for Justin.
Yeah, well, I think obviously other than not getting the contract, it couldn't really have gone any better. I think we've got some inside information that the UFC. I think they were like impressed by it, and the people were like everyone was talking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like it was obviously we saw that MMA media world, everyone was talking about it, but I think people within the UFC were talking about it, especially the fact that he went there and just made welterweight by himself, literally by himself, in his hotel, like just in the sauna, and then got on his scooter back to the hotel and just took a picture on the scales. And it's not an easy cut for him to get to welterweight either. So, and I think, a lot of the hate, it's like, who are those people that are hating really? They're just like, you look at their Instagram pages and it's just, they're just losers. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like the people that, look at all the people giving him props. It's all, professional fighters. Umar Nurmagomedov at the thing saying, yeah, I hope he gets signed, this, that. Like, it's, the top MMA media guys wanting to get him for an interview because they appreciate what he's done. So it's the hate is it's funny because like with social media you have all this access to people hating on you, and then people also hate him without knowing the story. They're saying, oh well, he should just got a shot on Contender Series. Well, he did get a shot on Contender Series, but they couldn't get his visa in time, and it's just and like you said as well, his resume of who he's fought, who he's beaten. You know, like he beat David Bear in the 2021, I think it was. And if David Bear had won that fight, I think he was getting signed to the UFC. and then Reece McKee, it was only who of his losses been against Reece McKee, and then he just had a bit of a silly game plan in his first contender series fight, just tried to brawl with a brawler, but and even with Reece McKee, he was smashing Reece McKee, and then he just made a silly mistake. So I think his time will come eventually. But like you said, this is the thing. The thing is with contender series now, not many people are getting signed straight to the UFC, and it has to be like a last minute fight, like a. But it's just the sport now. And the thing is, we've got. If we're in America, he probably also would have been signed by now because there's so many more shows there. But it's just the nature of the beast now that you've almost got to do these crazy viral things to get attention and then get signed.
And it is honestly, it was crazy. The whole situation was mental, but I commend Justin so much for it. I think, like I said, in my opinion, it couldn't have gone much better. Obviously, the ideal scenario is he got a fight, but
Yeah.
it went absolutely viral. It went crazy all over social
Yeah.
media. Like even my mum asked me about it, and she hasn't got a clue. She was
Uh,
like, "Have you seen this?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I've
yeah.
seen that, mum." But it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's honestly it's mental, but. Like I said, Charles, I just want to thank you for your time, mate. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you, and I'll see you on Fight Night on December 6th.
Yeah. Are you doing the winners interviews afterwards, are you?
Yeah, of course, as always, mate.
I'll see you there then.
I'll see you there, mate. I love it. Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers.